welcome to my channel. My name is Kate, and today I wanted to do a hopefully quick little August TBR, but little is definitely not the operative word here, because in August I'm going to be participating in too many things. This TBR is extremely ambitious. Part of it is definitely going to be an MBR, but I will get to that a little bit later. So I am going to be participating in 2 readathons. I am going to participate in the magical readathon that is hosted by G over at Book Roast. I will leave her announcement video for that down below if you are not already familiar with this one. It is actually a continuation of a readathon that she started actually last year. But it's a super fun magical adventure where you create a character, and then what we're doing now is we're completing the autumn curriculum for this magic school that we're all in. So it's going to be super fun. I've loved participating in this so far. I am excited to participate again, even though it means it's adding a ton of books to my TBR, and given my track record in July, we'll see how many I get to. So that's one of the readathons, and I will get to what I'm reading for that in a second. The other readathon I'm participating in is the new release-a-thon that is being hosted by a group of lovely booktubers. I heard about this via Angela from Literature Science Alliance, but the other hosts are Kristen over at Kristen L. SFF Reader, Rachel at RK Stumbling Bear, Shannon at That's So Poe, Rhea at the Bookfinch. The goal for this particular readathon is just to read 2022 releases, which is great, because I have a ton of those that I've bought this year and haven't made it to yet. So definitely looking forward to that. This one is, because it isn't connected to other things like the magical readathon, I'm going to be treating that one as an MBR and just trying to get in as many 2022 releases as I possibly can. But I will have a separate video for what I am reading for that one, although there is a little bit of overlap between that and magical readathon. Then, I am also participating in a read-along that Kristen from Kristen is Fully Booked is hosting, and that is August for Our Bun. I will leave her announcement video in the description so you can go check that out, but the idea here is that we are reading the song for Our Bun. It's going to be split, I think the book is split into 4 parts, and so we'll be reading 1 part each week, is the basic gist of that one. I have not read any Guy Gavriel K yet, and Kristen mentioned this as being a really good starting point for K, so I am super excited to finally get to his writing because I've heard amazing things. So, besides Song for Our Bun, and I suppose I should hold up a picture of that. Unfortunately, my copy is a little beat up. I got it from Aid Books because I just like this cover, but unfortunately in the mail it got a bit bent, so it's not in the best shape, but I'm super excited for this one. So for the magical readathon, the Song for Our Bun is going to be counting as my demonology class, which is just to read a fantasy. I don't honestly know a ton about this. Check out Kristen's video for a better summary of it. It sounds like an interesting blend of fantasy and historical fiction to me, but I really honestly don't know much about this. I'm just excited to finally be getting to GGK. The next one that's on my list is another book club commitment, and that is Fireborne by Rosaria Munda. I know a ton of people are picking this up because the 3rd book in this series is about to come out. I don't remember the exact release date, I just think it's in August. I have heard amazing things about this series from a number of booktubers. I just have been putting it off because I knew the 3rd book was coming out this year, and I would rather start a completed series so I don't have to wait for the next one to come out. As far as I understand it, it involves dragon riders and basically is combining dragons plus fantasy take on the Russian Revolution. So it sounded very intriguing to me as a history nerd. I think it'll be a lot of fun to see those influences. And it'll be interesting to see how Munda handles some of those themes. So I'm very excited for this. And that one is going to count for my animal studies class for the magical readathon because it has animal companions in the form of the dragons. Next class I need to complete for the magical readathon is spells and incantations. For this I had to spin a color wheel and pick a color, and it ended up on pink, which is perfect for me because I have an incredibly bright pink book that I am desperate to get to in August because it just came out in July. And that is August Kikko and the Mechas from Space by Alex White. I saw this one get mentioned by Kristen over at Kristen Craves Books, and it just sounded so fun. The basic premise here is that there's a group of super advanced robots who are coming to kill everybody on Earth, and there's not a lot Earth can do about it, so they basically just wait for the end of the world. And there's a jazz pianist, Gus Kitko, who ends up working with a specific group of robots in an attempt to save Earth from this impending destruction. And it just sounded delightful. I've been meaning to read Alex White's other series, which I think starts with Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe. But this one is kind of tagged as mechas and a fun main character, so I am super excited for it. The next class is actually the next level of spells and incantation. For this one, I had to take someone else's TBR and basically steal a book from that. And for this, I'm picking a book that I don't actually have physically. It is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Crosby. Leslie over at the Nerdy Narrative has been doing a wine and crime book club that I have really been wanting to participate in, but every month I haven't been able to get to that book, so it's kind of fallen off my TBR. I've been wanting to read Razorblade Tears for a long time because I've heard amazing things. My understanding is that it's sort of a crime thriller where you have two ex-criminals and their gay sons were actually married and then were killed, so it's these fathers looking for revenge, and it just sounded great and intense, and so I'm hoping to finally get to a wine and crime book this month because I've been dying to get to some of these. It just hasn't worked out yet for me, so hopefully by putting it in the readathon I'll finally get there. Next class I need to complete is Conjuration, and for that I had to pick a book with necromancy themes, and it's another one that's been an anticipated read for me, and that is The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy. I actually got this awesome copy of this from Fairy Loot, and I adore this version, so I really hope I like this book. It is, I believe, a fantasy romance, enemies to lovers, where you have one of the main characters is a marshal who spends a lot of his time kind of patrolling the wilderness and keeping people safe, and one of the other main characters is trying to keep her family's business, Birdsall and Son Undertakers, afloat, and they just constantly butt heads, and then end up writing sort of angry letters to a friend, and then turns out that they find each other's letters and just goes from there. It's described as The House in the Cerulean Sea meets You've Got Mail. So it sounds like it could be fun. It could have the miscommunication trope to an extent that might annoy me, but I did put this on my 5-star predictions list, so we'll see if it pays off for me. The next class I need to complete is for Conjuration, which is to reread a favorite book, and another book that I have on my 5-star predictions is actually a take on a number of different Jane Austen books, and it's been a while since I've read any Jane Austen, and I wanted to reread a number of them before I pick up that other book, so I'm going to be rereading Pride and Prejudice, probably via audio, for this particular prompt, which gets me on my way to finally getting to that other 5-star prediction. So I'm super excited. I love Pride and Prejudice. I tend to read this every year. I probably don't need to reread this one. It is the Austen story I'm most familiar with, but I think it'll just be a good time, and I'll need something familiar to just have fun with. The penultimate class to complete is for Restoration, which is a book that has an object as the focus of the cover. And this is convenient because I should have read this book in July and I didn't get to it. Malice by Gwynne. I am reading this with a group of other booktubers. It is Maria from Maria Might Read That, Sarah from Brighton Bookish, Kristen from Kristen Craves Books, and Kristen from Kristen is Fully Booked. We have been reading a lot of books together and having fun with that. We decided to tackle this chunker together, but unfortunately I think I'm the last one to get started on this, so I'm going to have to hurry up on Malice, but definitely looking forward to finally starting the epic fantasy series Faithful and the Fallen. So that's my pick for that one. Just kidding, that was the last book, because I already talked for A Song for Our Bun, which is the other one that I had listed. So that is my TBR for the Magical Readathon. Like I said, I will be doing a separate TBR video for the new release-a-thon because I actually have a giant stack of new releases that are going to act as an MBR. With just the Magical Readathon, I am at 8 books, which is my normal max for a month, but I can't help myself, and I love having an MBR that I can kind of pick and choose from. So at least 3 of these, The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy, August Kikko, and this Mechas from Space, and the Ballad, the last book for the Magical Readathon is The Ballad of Perilous Graves by Alex Jennings as my choice for the next level in the Conjuration class, which is a book with a bone on the cover or in the title, which has plenty of bones on this one. It also has a super sweet map of New Orleans. I think a number of people have talked about this before. It's an alternative version of a fantasy version of New Orleans where all of the magic is based on music. And that's basically all I know about it. I am super excited to get to this. I got an ARC for this a while back. Unfortunately, didn't get to it. So I ended up getting a physical copy and am stoked to finally get to it. 3 of the books that I've already mentioned, The Ballad of Perilous Graves, August Kitko and the Mechas from Space, and The Undertaking of Hart and Mercy, would all count as new releases for that readathon. But if I can manage to fit any other books in this month, I will try and slot them in for that readathon. And I have an enormous stack of new releases that I've purchased this year that I could throw in. So I wanted to kind of point those out in case anybody else is participating in that readathon, and hopefully drive myself to read as many new releases in August as possible. So, editing Caitlin here to say that despite the fact that I have an enormous TBR, I somehow managed to forget 2 technically, and that is I need to finish The Alchemy of Masques and Mirrors. I am 2/3 of the way through. I've been reading this with a couple other people over on Fine, over at Fine Reads Discord. It is Fine, Sarah from Fairy Reads, and Leslie from The Nerdy Narrative have all been talking about this one. So I definitely need to finish that. If I can manage it somehow, I would like to continue on with the Labyrinth of Scions and Sorcery, which is the second book in this series. It is sort of a fantasy, musketeers and airships sort of story. Definitely one I'd like to continue, but my TBR is packed this month, so we'll see what I can get to. But that is it for me today. Let me know what you are reading in the month of August. If you have read any of these books, I'd love to hear feedback on that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!